we start?
Alright, hey guys, thanks for being here today. We're having our very first ever demo days, and two teams are going to present. The first one is, I guess called Awaaz now?
Yes.
Alright, the first one is called Awaaz. Take it on.
Awaaz!
Hi guys, I'm Nina, and this is the team. Please come on over, guys. Krishna, Manu, and Kritika. We have two other people. There is our UX designer, Mariam. For some reason, we could not get GVC working, so she's not here. And there's another person, Deep. He has a cricket match in the morning. He'll be here after lunch. Alright, so that's us. We are here to talk to you about Awaaz, our project. I don't know if we have a demo yet, so let me set the expectations right up front. But we are going to talk to you about what our plan is, how far we've got, and why we're doing it. So, how many of you have heard about the Delhi rape case from December last year? Alright, that looks like everyone. I'm not gonna touch on it, but let's just say that all of us on the team have woken up in the middle of the night screaming or crying or in some way impacted by it. Marked forever for life, and we were not even the victim. So, what are we looking at? We're looking at, do you want to click on know more about us? We're looking at a society where we are the hypocrites. You and I are the hypocrites. You and I talk about women's safety. You and I talk about corruption. And when we have to buy our house, we are the first people to go back and pay the officer money so that our deed is closed quickly. We are the first people to say, "Wo ladki akeli hai, that girl is alone. Why don't I have my 5 minutes of enjoyment?" It's us. It's between us. It's not any third person. We are here today because each one of us thinks that unless we change us, no one else is going to change us. This will keep happening. And it's not just women, it's also men, it's also children. So we want to talk to you about this video that the Delhi police has released by Farhan Akhtar. Apologies for you, it's in Hindi. So we're going to watch it. It's 2 minutes roughly?
1 minute.
1 minute? Let's go for it. He can explain that.
हर रोज अखबारों में, टीवी पर खबरें आती हैं, वायलेंस, छेड़छाड़, रेप। हम बस इन्हें पढ़ते हैं और भूल जाते हैं। जरा सोचिए, ये सब हो रहा है उस सोसाइटी में जिसकी हिस्ट्री और कल्चर में औरत को सबसे ऊंचा दर्जा दिया गया है। ये हमारी जिंदगी में कई किरदार अदा करती है: माँ, बहन, पत्नी और बेटी बनकर। इनकी सुरक्षा करना हमारी जिम्मेदारी है, लेकिन अब वक्त आ गया है ये समझने का कि उतनी ही जिम्मेदारी खुद औरतों पर भी है, क्योंकि जुल्म करना या सहना दोनों गुनाह है। अकेले नहीं हैं आप, हजारों हैं आपके साथ। खामोश सिर्फ कायर रहते हैं। आवाज उठाइए, 100 नंबर उठाइए, 100 नंबर, 1000 बार।
That's our reality. There are people raising their voice to empty rooms. Nobody wants to listen. But when your daughter, your sister is walking on the street, your heart is beating, waiting for her to come home. As a mother, you are waiting for your daughter to give her exam and come straight back so that nobody lays an evil eye on her on the street. What we decided to do was take a different approach, and this approach has been taken by many other smaller NGOs. Let's move to our project plan. We decided that we want to have 2 phases. We walked through the idea. Manu, let's move to the project plan. Just our project plan, yeah. What we want to do, scroll down. So we decided there's going to be 2 phases of our project. The first phase is evolution, where each one of us has an app and is equipped by how do I reach from point A to point B safely. We call it a safe route, and there are other applications out there who do this, but we have reasons to believe that we can do it better. So there's the safe travel aspect of it, because more than 50% of crimes that are reported are when you're outside house, when you're trying to commute from point A to point B. So that's our primary source of starting to solve the problem. And obviously there's a reporting angle to it, and we'll talk to you about this piece of the project right now. The second phase of the project, which is, as you can imagine, very much an ideation, has 4 steps. So the first is defense. While we're here, we all know several boot camp instructors, several martial arts instructors. The point is, we think, well, once you have downloaded our app, every 2 weeks we will send you a safety tip of the week, or the 2 weeks. So how do you actually use a pepper spray? I have a pepper spray, I've never used it. In case of an attack, I will not know how to use it. I better try it on. How do I punch someone so they are immobile for 2 minutes? So safety tips like this, that's what we want to do in the defense phase. And we will show you exactly the motion and exactly the video how to do it. The next step is rescue, and I will let Manu talk about, let's stay there, Manu. I will let Manu talk about what he's already done in this space, and then I will augment it with what we plan to do going forward.
Okay, so back in India, we realized the fact that there is no possible way we can save women on streets without actually giving her a device with which she can harm the molester. So I built this watch which had a 0.8 milliampere shocker built into it, and whenever the nerve impulse speed of the girl would cross 119 meters per second, this device would get activated and would give out a shock of 0.8 amperes to the molester. The shock is powerful enough to paralyze the molester for around 5 minutes, and the girl can get a chance to run away. And apart from that, we have a camera on the device which clicks non-stop pictures in every single angle and uploads it to an FTP server. So we realized the fact that in Delhi, most of the rapes are committed by powerful people, sons of powerful people, who get away by buying eyewitnesses. You cannot buy a camera, so camera will always have a picture. And not many people know the fact that India has a very nice database of people's photos and their place where they live. So you can facially recognize every single person. So even if you do not know who the molester was, you have his picture and you can use the database to find what his name was. And we have an SOS messaging machine inside it, with which we can send the attached GPS location to 4 of your previously selected recipients, so they know where you are. And the device was like really popular, and the Indian president picked it up, and I had a patent which I subsequently open sourced last year so that more people could get onto it. So if anyone wants to work on it, you can just contact the Indian government, or you can contact me, or you can directly email Dr. Kalam. This is working on it. And also that the project really fits in with our plan here at Awaaz, because Awaaz basically envelops every single thing we're trying to do with all these 5 steps: defend, rescue, heal, and elevate. And I believe we can make a little of that.
Yeah. So we want to take it in 2 directions, right? And this is still pretty much an ideation phase. So what Krishna's idea was what if everybody wears an earring? Not everybody wears a watch, right? And Manu's device is a watch, essentially. It's a blue watch. So the idea is, what if there could be this dot that you could put in, I don't know, on your bangle, on your earring, on your ring, right? Which you could press in case of a distress. And the assumption in this scenario is your phone is being thrown away somewhere in the vicinity of your attack, right? So the device, it's low power, it's hardware solution that we come up with, activates this app on your phone, which does several things, and we've documented all of that here. The first thing being, it documents where am I, am I moving or static, and like some sort of distress, some level of distress, right? And then it also sends an email to everybody you've pre-selected, like Manu says. And then the last thing is it keeps pinging back saying, I'm still here, I'm still here, I'm still here, so that you can stay in the location. So that's our rescue phase. Again, it's a thought process right now. It's a hardware solution. The third phase, I think, the third and the fourth phases are really the phases which will have a true impact. The third phase is heal. I don't know how many of you have seen the Sunita Krishnan TED Talk. Alright, so Sunita Krishnan is a rape victim. She was raped when she was 14 years old. Today she's coming back to the evolution phase. This is our Safe Route project. So what we're thinking is, either through public databases, the police department, believe it or not, has a database, and they have reports of crimes of different levels, right from easing to molestation to murder. So we think we're going to source in these public databases, but also crowdsource data through an app, have an input module where we layer on a heavy layer of validation, have a data repository. Just like Google has PageRank, we were thinking of something like SafeRank, where we have a lot of massaging of the data, like how old were the reports, how frequent were the reports, how valid they were, and we have that kind of safety ranking. And then we have some push logic that pushes out a safe route to both your website and apps. We're going to show you mocks of how we think this will look like, and then, yes, let's go to the mocks, and Kritika will then show you a working demo of how far we've gotten with this.
So these are the mocks, and this is the overall view. There's going to be two options: either reporting of an unsafe area that you might encounter while you are walking on the road, or there is an option where you can find a safe route from point A to point B. Okay, so this is the first option, which is the safe route option. There's two options on the bottom, either safety or time. So you can find the route either by safety or by time.
So if you're in a group, you know your time is more important to you, but we want you to still adopt the app to make a habit of it. So you can choose time, and you don't need to worry about safety in that particular app.
And if you drag the screen down, there will be the options either by walk, bike, bus, or car. So this is adopting from Google Maps. And there's also an option that you can see the unsafe areas, and these unsafe areas are crowdsourced, meaning that with user input there will be a database with all these unsafe areas, so that the user using this application will know which areas to avoid. And these red dots are the unsafe areas. And as you can see, the app has created a route around these unsafe areas rather than going through them. And it shows all these different areas, for example, bus 34, 54, 26, 40. So the user, him or herself, can choose which one they want to take. And if you drag up, there is the exact route with the unsafe areas marked on the map, as well as the specifications of the unsafe areas, like what is the reason. And there's the number of reports as well as what kind of reports. And then on the top, you can also create a report, which is where the crowdsourcing comes into play. You can choose the type of incident, the location, as well as the time, and you can even add pictures so that other users can see and either add on or can observe and avoid these areas. So yeah, that's the application, the mock-up.
Do you want to show?
So you can continue on.
So are you going to show us how it works, Ritika, so far?
Yeah.
Awesome. In the meantime, Krishna, do you want to tell us something about?
Yeah. So when this Delhi incident happened, this my daughter, like she was 12 years old, and at home I have 4 women at home: my mom, 2 daughters, and my wife. So we are all discussing, like, oh, this incident happened, we are like, what we can do from here. And a lot of discussions are happening now. Everyone is blaming, like, government problem, or like, society is not doing anything. So then my daughter told, like, why everyone is telling about others? Why can't, like, everyone pitch in and do something? So we are discussing. We are trying to find a way to do whatever we can do. A lot of passion is inside, but we don't know how to do it. So we heard about the CFI hackathon in Stanford. So my daughter told, like, why we can't build a small app? At least, like, we can start making the people to think about around, empower them, like, instead of asking somebody to do it. So we came to CFI hackathon at Stanford, and we showed this small app, the Safe Route, which is like, very fancy state. Then when we came here for first open house, we met a lot of people who are passionate and like inspiring, and we started working on that, and then we have a lot of really like, it's motivating, and it's in a different stage now, like if you see like what we were. So that's what, like, story behind. And now we are looking for a Java developer, and also, like, somebody who can, like, Android developer. So please come and see us. We are in that conference room, and that's it. Yeah.
Okay, thank you guys. I think this was really good.
Thanks. Do we have our demo going?
We can probably do that after the next team presents. I think we've got a really good idea about the mocks and where you guys are going.
Okay, great. Thanks, guys. If you feel passionately about this topic, even if you don't have the time to devote to this project, we'd love your thoughts. We'd love your connections. CFI has connected us with an NGO in Bombay, but we'd love to see if any of you have connections to other NGOs. It's one city. We want to ultimately scale out to several cities. Please come find us, even if it's to drop a thank you or encouraging note. Both of these guys, this guy is in first year Stanford, she is in 9th grade. So we really have young people and we really appreciate your support, guys.
Yeah, thanks guys. You guys ready? Volunteer for Better India?
We'll start with a short video and then we'll talk about our project, all right?
Almost half of the people eligible to vote do not vote in India. I Vote for a Better India aims to increase awareness about the importance of voting, especially among the youth. Register around 1 lakh people to constitute.
QS technical challenges. You say no, it should work. It should connect to our
Yeah, true. I want to. Sorry for interrupting. I don't need it. I'm not doing that. I don't.
No, I'm just saying. No, any of people love to craft red tape. Yeah, and so many of people are already using it to figure out where's this going now? Where's this? Damn. You're like
Word automatically.
Looking at it from another lens, this is one of the largest nation-building activities being undertaken in modern times, with an aim to register more than 30 million voters and a volunteer base of more than 1 million. So how do we achieve this? Here is an overview. Our UPI campaign is divided into 3 phases. Phase 1, voter registration and deletion. We will assist individuals to register for voting. Our UPI aims to register around 1 to 1.5 lakh people per constituency. With the aim of targeting more than half of all constituencies, we aim to register around 30 million people over the next 4 months. We will be equally involved in voter division. This will help clean the electoral rolls and reduce bogus voting. Phase 2 is dedicated to voter awareness. We will be educating individuals, especially the youth, through various channels including social media and other media. In each parliamentary constituency, there are around 1,500 voting booths. In phase 3, to make sure people come out and vote, each booth will have around 2 volunteers who will help in increasing voter turnout. Eventually, IBBI will be working with a team of more than 3,000 volunteers in each constituency and potentially around 1 million volunteers on election day. The strength of IBBI hubs.
So that's the background on what IVBI. IVBI is it's a Volunteer for a Better India. It's a non-profit organization. So we have teamed up with Overseas Volunteer for Better India in the United States, and we are working on an app for voter registration. So a quick question: so how many of you have registered for voting in India? Wow, that's a big turnout. That's really nice. So I think yeah, I think that's great, right? So if you look at the current this video, so we have about 50 to 55% turnout rate for any election, right? And out of which we have about 250 million people in India who don't go and vote. Right? And then we actually sit in our offices and then bitch about these politicians, this politician is this way and this politician is this way, right? And then we also have about 100 million people who didn't even register for a voter ID card. And a big chunk of those 100 million people are educated people, right? Because the problem is with uneducated people, they are susceptible for these liquor distribution or money distribution and things like that. But with educated people, when you have these millions of educated people who are not registering for voting, I mean that's a big thing from Indian politics and also from the elections perspective, right? So both OVBI and VBI is planning to address this issue in 3 stages. You've seen that. So the first stage is basically to push these people to vote, go and vote, and get their voter registration, right? So we spent about a week or 2, this is before the meetup, with VBI people to understand what are the impediments that basically get into these educated people not going and registering for voter registration. So top issues were, the first thing is it's a tedious, time-consuming process. So I did this is about 4 years ago. So I went there to do a voter registration. I basically had to fill out a form, get a bunch of documents, and then basically went to an ERO office and stood there for 3.5 hours in line, right? So now you actually go in front of the line, and then ERO officer basically, they look at it, and there is some error in this in your application. Now go back and then redo it. You're going back into the line, right? So the second issue is, first issue is the tediousness and then also the long process. The second issue is the data errors basically result in a lot of rejections in terms of ECs, and people know they don't care to go back and vote, right? So those are the 2 areas we thought we could actually use technology to fix those issues. So we started working on this, I think, before I got involved from the meetup. So there are a number of people here, Satej, Mehul, and then Abhi. There are a number of people here, they were in the Stanford hackathon. So they started talking about this, and then we started thinking about conceptualizing this when we did the first meetup, right? So in the past 4 weeks or so, we've went from conceptualization phase into basically the delivery phase. We are delivering our app tomorrow to the VBI. So VBI is a votathon in India. So votathon is basically a competition that they've created in India, where college students can actually compete with each other to basically go and vote, register these people to vote. So they can do neighborhood drives, they can do corporate drives, and they're doing college drives and things like that. All right. So today was the first launch of this votathon. So the idea is basically they use our Android app to basically fill up these voter registration form, by sitting in their car, or basically when they're commuting to their work, they're getting bored in the doctor office or whatever, right? So it literally takes 5 to 10 minutes to fill out the application, and the voter will get an automated email after that. They can basically take a printout, and then they'll get clear direction on what to do next, right? And once you do that, they have to basically take these documents to an ER office or the VBI drives. So we are thinking about doing the hundreds of drives in India. So in 25 states, it could be probably thousands of drives. So the voter will take their documents, and then basically they drop off these documents in a VBI drive instead of waiting in like 3-hour lines in ERO offices. Those are the main things for phase 1. So for phase 2, we wanted to enhance this app to tackle some of these education issues, so voter education and things like that. So we wanted to include more features to educate voters on voting, and also increase engagement in terms of automatically sending push notifications or SMS on whenever there is a new voter drive in your area, right? So it'll say, hey, there's a new voter drive, go and basically register. Or on the voting day, basically it could send out an email, so it reminds us, right? So go and vote, you have registered for this, please don't forget, right? And we're also thinking about some of the future apps. We're thinking about reporting voting issues. If you go to a voter booth, and if you're seeing some issues going on in this, you can basically take a picture and then report this. So we have a lot of things in mind for V2 and then the future versions, which is around voter awareness and engagement. But to start with, it will be the voter registration application. So Abhi will show some of these screenshots that we have for voter registration.
So yeah, I've been working on the Android app side of things. So status-wise, our app is almost done for phase 1. As Ravi said, we would be launching it tomorrow, and the volunteers would actually start using it in the vote-a-thon competition starting tomorrow. So in terms of app, we actually have it almost complete. We didn't get a chance to get screenshots, so I'll just show some of the mocks here. This is how our icon looks like. This is the landing screen of our app, which gives a glimpse of the functionality that we are providing from our app. So the first one is the register. Yeah, so the first option is registration. So when you click this option, it would actually guide you through a set of 8 screens in which you enter your personal information, your place of birth information, your residence details, your family's information, and that will actually collect that data, and that will send it back to our servers. So these are some of the mocks, how the screens would look like. So we collect this information, and then we also present a review screen at the end where you get to review each and every information that you've entered. And then we ask you to ask the user to also enter an email address, and we compile this information and we generate a PDF of Form 6. So Form 6 is the form which is used for registering new users, new voters in India. So we autofill that form and email that form to this particular email address. So this is how the Form 6 is going to look like with the filled information already. So the process that we really are simplifying is, when the user in India, when he tries to fill out a Form 6, it's in paper format. And if you see, it's actually very cryptic looking, and all the details are not very clear as well. So what our app does is it provides an interface in a very clean way, and at various sections we are also providing help as to what each detail means and what are the repercussions of entering a particular information in some way. So for example, this asks you for entering the details about your family members who are already registered. So a voter probably won't understand what's the significance of that. But the significance of that is that if you enter this information, the ERO will try to group you together with this address so that your name would also appear in that particular assembly constituency list for voting. And which might be problematic in some scenarios where consider a voter is living in some area like Bombay and where his parents are in some other village. So you don't want to fill this information, just for the heck of it.
And also basically it makes sure that your entire family is basically assigned to one voting booth versus like multiple voting booths spread out in your constituency.
Yeah, so basically we are simplifying the whole process, and so this is just the phase 1 of our app, and starting next week we are going to be working on version 2 as well, and there are a lot more things coming to the platform in terms of awareness and other things. So,
do you have a way for people to figure out which the taluk and district?
Yes, so that's the cool part, right? So that's one of our unique selling points of the app. So if you enter your PIN code, we have a huge database compiled which our team has worked on, and if you just hit enter, these things will be pre-populated in the app.
And the spellings in accordance with what the EC expects.
Yes.
So a lot of the times you get rejected because the spelling of the Ranga Reddy will be PI or something.
Yes. Yeah, no, we have vetted that data.
So that's one of the biggest challenges that our team has faced, right? So when we got this data, so we first went to a free database, right? So there were a lot of issues. So our backend people have done a lot of work on basically trying to clean up, right? Then we thought, okay, so we should actually go for a paid database. So we spent some money and then got a paid database. That was equally bad, right? So it was slightly better. So I should say, I should give credit to them, right? Then what our team has to do is basically take that data and then match that up with ECI data, Election Commission's data. So we had to actually go through 3 or 4 different sources to basically reconcile all the data. So that's something that we never thought basically we would be spending that much time. Almost about 10 to 15% of the total development, literally it went into reconciling all this data. So if you have for your projects any requirement for PIN code, zip code, automated population, please let us know. We may be able to share that data so that you don't have to go through the same thing. All right?
What kind of testing have you done for your app?
So we released the app and the website for volunteers about 5 days ago to India VBI people. There were about 15 to 20 volunteers tested that app on the ground, and then they basically gave us a bunch of feedback, and then we are currently fixing those issues.
The Election Commission has asked, for citizens to give feedback every 6 months leading up to the election. Have you guys tied up with that? They have a meeting in Delhi every 6 months to get feedback on what they are trying to do.
I'm not aware of that, so maybe...
we're actually official partners with the Election Commission in many states, and so we are working very closely with all of them.
I have a question. So, like, what's the scope of error for a person who is actually registering? I mean, I'm assuming that if I put in my PIN code or something, my constituency or something will automatically pop up. And if, let's say, there's a spelling error in my name that I entered, how can I approach you guys again to make those corrections, or should I directly go to the electoral office?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you see, where is it? So in our app, we are actually providing an option of contacts VBI.
Okay.
So we also have email, phone numbers. So this third tab, right?
Right.
So any if you're blocked on filling out any field, if you want more information as to how we can fill this out.
Or if I have to redo it again and I can still contact.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
So
right. Because all of this data is stored on our servers,
right,
and our volunteers have access to that portal.
Right.
So that is like a big part,
right,
apart from this app. So you
and
have access to.
Do the volunteers do any kind of quality checking when they receive the application before they take to the electoral office?
Right.
Okay.
Sure. So volunteers, depending upon where they are. So in some constituencies, they have a lot of volunteers, and some they don't, right? So what we are trying to do is basically, the app is just the voter front end, right?
Right.
So there is a whole back end that we developed for volunteers to basically manage these votathon drives and things like that. Because initially we thought, okay, we'll have to develop the app. But when we sat down and then started looking at the requirements, actually you needed a control panel for volunteers to create, manage drives, and also look at these applications, manage these applications, edit these applications, and basically take these applications into a workflow, right? So the effort that went into that back-end piece is almost like twice the amount of work that it went into this particular app. So
do
we
you
started
have a
with
demo
this app.
of that?
Pardon me?
Do you have a demo of that?
Yeah, we have a volunteer portal that we have created. So, so this is the volunteer portal. So when you go to this portal, you will be asked to log in using your Gmail. So we are using Awaaz technology for Gmail authentication. So once you log in into Gmail, this will be your primary screen that you will see where you can manage drives. Drive is a voter registration drive.
You can just sign out and then go through the whole process again.
If you want to show them.
Yeah.
I know we are running short of time.
Yeah, that's okay.
So currently we are making this prettier. So currently this is just a quick and dirty screen. And so when you log in, first time you will create your profile as a volunteer. And once you save your profile, you will see all your drives. So when you start, there won't be any drives. There is a registration. So you can either create your own drive. Let us suppose if you are a volunteer and if you want to create a drive in your university. So you can create a new drive and you can give information about your drive and what date and things like that, and you can add more volunteers, your friends and things like that, right? Or if you are just looking to help in one of those drives, so you can basically select this district and also constituency, and you can see this search result. So what you can do is basically open the drive, and if you have not joined it, there will be a button called Join Drive. And when you click on the drive, there will be an automated email that goes back to the drive creator. Hey, this person with phone number, meetup. We had about 4 weeks to do this.
Yeah,
and,
I wanted to ask what percentage of this entire flow did you develop through CFI? What percentage of it was already done? Or
yeah, so just to give a timeline, right? So this got kick-started at the Stanford Hackathon, so which was
from the scratch.
From the scratch, yeah. So,
wow.
So yeah, so Satej had presented. Satej is like one of the OBBI heads in US, and he works closely with the BBI team in India.
All I've done is I've just given the bhashan, and these guys have really worked on it and made it happen.
No, I think I personally feel that this one person's passion and vision sort of drives the entire team. And both the demos that we saw today is actually because of that clear vision and the framework, and also the deadline that the team has set that has brought everyone's talent together. So hats off to you guys, really.
And I just want to highlight that the entire team, literally, they usually come back from work at 6:30, 7 o'clock. They get to work on this one at 8 o'clock. So we had number of meetings in one of our houses, starting from 8 o'clock to 12:30, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock.
A lot of pizza parties.
A lot of pizza parties, and then a lot of mini hackathons in someone's houses, right? And about 60 to 70% of the past 3 or 4 weeks, at least 4 to 5 weeks a day, I'm seeing people checking in code at like 2:30 a.m., 3:30 a.m., 4:30 a.m. Actually, Umang, who's not in here, so he was basically working at 5:15 this morning. Wow. So it took that much effort and that much commitment from this team to actually get this delivered within 4 weeks. I think it just went from conceptual stage to the delivery of VApp, and then it will be used by hundreds and thousands of people within the next few weeks. I think it's incredible, and without this commitment, I think we would have not done this.
Awesome, guys. Yeah.
Everybody's contribution.
Yeah, sure. So Paul and Varnali, they have done the UI marks. So whatever the hard work in the back end that these people have created, they made it so pretty that everyone loved it. Because yesterday when we launched the Waterthon, so there were about 100 locations. There were thousands of students who joined the Waterthon launches. Everyone had a great feedback for us from the UX designs. Thank you so much, guys. And then we have Abhi. So he started with the Android development. This is like 4 or 5 weeks ago. He was like a one-man army until like we gave him some help about 1.5 weeks. So he started off, he was a self-starter and he was like coding, and then last week we were able to give some help, and Ajay was not here, but Ajay helped on that, and then also Ashok, who's here, worked on the Android stuff. And Mehul, Atul, Parag has done a lot of back-end work because mostly this is on Google App Engine, so some people did not know App Engine, but the good thing is basically people have learned on how to code on Google App Engine, and then basically they made it happen. So thank you so much for primarily data validation. So Atul and Abhi, they spent a lot of time, and then we have a couple more people who spend a lot of time on basically reconciling all the data. And then we have Vikram, who's working on front end, and we have 4 more people who are not here. So there's Kalpana, who's in Chicago, who's been working on this. Namrata, who's not here, and then Jitun, who was the front end lead. He's in India right now. But there are 4 or 5 people who worked on this front end because this was the biggest part for us.
Sure.
So thank you so much, guys.
Actually, also thanks to Code for India, because that hackathon was where it was got out kickstarted.
Yeah, and thanks to Ravi too. He
all together. Special word of mention to Ravi, because he's the one who is holding all this together.
Yeah.
Like our team here, and also communicating with the India team at like really odd hours.
So all the
a really special thanks to.
I know, like Ravi was in our dance group for Diwali. I know that he had to at one point shuffle his time around all of these different things, and even at work. So this is incredible to see your commitment, seriously.
In fact, he has promised that after we launch, he'll actually perform his dance.
Did he send you the video?